Nigeria's beauty industry is booming, exploding, in fact, into a multi-billion-dollar ecosystem of salons, skincare brands, cosmetic clinics, influencers, and surgeons. On the surface, it's a story of empowerment, a story of choice, of women reclaiming their bodies and redefining their identities.
Come with me to Nigeria to get a skinny BBL. Yes, I'm getting on.
Today is day one of my surgery.
But beneath that glossy exterior, beneath the filters, the hashtags, and the carefully curated before and afters, there's a darker truth quietly unfolding. One stitched together with ambition, pressure, risk, and sometimes tragedy. Scroll through Instagram or TikTok in Lagos, and you'll see it instantly. Influencers posing in designer outfits, their bodies perfectly contoured. Public figures celebrating body transformations like milestones. Comments flooding in, body goals, snatched, pretty, perfect. It's a digital ecosystem that rewards a very specific look. The hourglass figure, small waist, full hips, a pronounced, almost exaggerated backside. And for many women watching, this isn't just inspiration, it's an expectation. The pressure doesn't always come from strangers. Sometimes it's subtle. A friend's comment, a partner's preference, a casting director's rejection, a missed opportunity. Sometimes it's internal, the quiet belief that maybe, just maybe, life would be easier, better, if the mirror reflected something closer to that ideal. In Nigeria today, beauty is no longer just about makeup or fashion. It has become surgical, measurable, injectable. A body is no longer something you simply have. It's something you can upgrade. And for thousands of women, the dream is clear. A flatter stomach, a smaller waist, fuller hips, a bigger, rounder backside. The Brazilian butt lift, BBL, has become the ultimate symbol of transformation. It promises confidence, power, attention, but it also carries one of the highest mortality rates of any cosmetic procedure in the world. Still, the demand keeps rising because when you scroll long enough, when you see enough perfect bodies, it starts to feel less like a luxury and more like a requirement. But behind every transformation video is a reality rarely shown. The operating table, the risks, the complications, the quiet calculations that happen long before the camera ever turns on. Because while the industry sells perfection, the path to it is anything but safe.
Destiny one Nemo. Destiny one Nemo. Destiny just in your eyes.
This is the dark truth behind Nigeria's beauty boom. It starts with a feeling most people won't admit out loud. Not insecurity exactly, but comparison. The moment you try on an outfit you love, but it doesn't sit the way it does on the girl you saw online. The moment someone compliments another woman's body in front of you. The moment you realize that attention, whether social, romantic, or professional, often follows a certain look. That's where the seed is planted. And once it's there, it grows. For many women, the goal isn't vanity, it's alignment. To finally match the version of themselves they believe exists somewhere beneath the surface. To wear what they want without hesitation. To walk into a room and feel like they belong in it. And increasingly, the fastest way to get there is surgery. Brazilian butt lifts, liposuction, tummy tucks, procedures that used to feel distant, reserved for celebrities or the ultra-wealthy, are now part of everyday conversation, discussed in salons, debated in group chats, planned in silence, because the line between normal and enhanced is disappearing. And in its place, a new standard is forming, one that doesn't just reward transformation, it expects it. For public figures like Uche Ogbodo, this expectation is impossible to ignore.
I'm a career woman.
In an industry where visibility equals opportunity, appearance isn't optional, it's currency. After pregnancy and the natural changes that come with time, she made a decision that many women are now considering for themselves. She would transform. For Uche, cosmetic procedures weren't framed as vanity. They were framed as necessity, a way to remain competitive, to stay visible, to protect her brand. She speaks openly about it, not defensively, but matter-of-factly, as if it's simply part of the job. And in many ways, it is. But when public figures normalize these transformations, when they present them as routine, accessible, even empowering, the ripple effect spreads far beyond their immediate world. And yet, there's another side to this story, a darker one that rarely makes it into polished Instagram posts or carefully edited interviews. A properly performed BBL, done by a qualified surgeon in a sterile environment with full preoperative testing and postoperative care, can cost up to $10,000 or more. That number alone creates a divide, and it forces a question that doesn't have an easy answer. How much risk is acceptable in the pursuit of beauty? Doctors across Nigeria have been trying to answer that question for years. Many of them are deeply concerned about what they're seeing, not just the rise in procedures procedures, but the environments in which they're being performed. Proper cosmetic surgery is not casual. It requires rigorous medical evaluation. Patients need to be screened for underlying conditions. They need to be psychologically prepared. They need to understand the risks, not just in theory, but in reality. And yet, in many cases, those steps are skipped because they take time, because they cost money, because they complicate a process that people want to be simple. Unregulated clinics thrive in that gap. They offer speed, affordability, convenience, but they also operate without the safeguards that make surgery safe. Non-sterile environments, unverified practitioners, injectable substances that may not even be medically approved. These aren't just shortcuts, they're hazards. Because when substances are injected into the body without proper knowledge of anatomy, without imaging guidance, without sterile technique, the consequences can be immediate or silently building. Infections, organ damage, fat embolisms, where fat enters the bloodstream and blocks vital organs. Complications that don't show up on Instagram, but show up in hospital rooms, or worse. And sometimes, they show up in headlines. The story of Elena Jessica, known to many as Elena Inquopara, is one of those moments where the illusion cracked. She was part of the world that celebrates beauty at its highest level, a socialite, an influencer, someone whose image was carefully curated, admired, and followed. She had already undergone one Brazilian butt lift, but like many caught in the cycle of enhancement, one transformation didn't feel like enough, so she went back. A second procedure, another attempt to get closer to perfection, but perfection is a moving target. And this time, something went wrong. Complications during the surgery in Lagos, a life lost, and suddenly, the same platforms that once amplified beauty began echoing something else. Shock, fear, regret. For a brief moment, the conversation shifted. People questioned the risks, shared warnings, reflected on how far things had gone. But the system didn't stop, because behind every viral story are thousands of quieter ones that never reach the public eye. Stories where the outcome isn't just tragedy, but survival with consequences. And still, people go, not because they're unaware, but because they feel they don't have a better option. This is where the economic tension becomes impossible to ignore. Safety has a price, a high one. For women, that price can feel out of reach. And when the choice becomes wait indefinitely or take a risk now, the decision isn't always as irrational as it might seem from the outside. It's shaped by urgency, by comparison, by the quiet fear of being left behind. Because in a culture where appearance is increasingly tied to opportunity, delaying transformation can feel like missing out on life itself. And that's the real undercurrent of Nigeria's beauty boom. It's not just about aesthetics, it's about identity, access, mobility, the belief that a different body can unlock a different future. But that belief is built on something unstable. Because even for those who can afford the safest procedures, there are no guarantees. Complications can still happen. Results can still disappoint. The perfect body remains just out of reach, an ever-shifting standard influenced by trends, algorithms, and the endless churn of social media. Today, it's a smaller waist. Tomorrow, it's something else. And the cycle continues. Families feel the impact in ways that aren't always visible. Conversations change. Expectations shift. Young women grow up in an environment where altering their bodies feels normal, even inevitable. The line between choice and pressure becomes blurred. Was it truly her decision? Or was it shaped by everything she saw, everything she was told, everything she believed she needed to become? There's no single answer, because the truth is complicated. Some women undergo procedures and feel empowered, confident, satisfied. Their lives improve in tangible ways. Others face complications, physical, emotional, financial, and some, like Azango, never get the chance to tell their side of the story. What makes Nigeria's beauty boom so powerful and so dangerous is that all of these realities exist at the same time. Success stories and tragedies intertwined, hope and risk moving side by side. The perfect body does not exist. It is an invention. It is a marketing tool. It is a moving target that shifts with every new trend, every new celebrity, every new algorithm update. The hourglass figure of today will be replaced by something else tomorrow, and the women who spent their savings chasing today's ideal will find themselves chasing again and again and again until the money runs out, or until the body gives out, or until perhaps the culture itself finally reckons with the cost of its own impossible standards. The beauty industry in Nigeria continues to grow, fueled by aspiration, amplified by media, reinforced by celebrity culture. It promises transformation, reinvention, control, but beneath that promise lies a question that refuses to disappear. At what cost? Because for every polished image, there's a hidden reality. For every success story, there's a risk that isn't always visible until it's too late. And for every woman chasing a version of perfection, there's a system that quietly profits from that pursuit, regardless of the outcome. The perfect body is everywhere, and yet it doesn't doesn't truly exist. Not in the way it's presented. Not in the way it's sold. It's an illusion. Constructed, curated, constantly evolving. But the consequences of chasing it, those are very real. And they don't disappear when the camera turns off. So the question lingers long after the transformations, long after the posts, long after the promises have faded. If beauty can be bought, if bodies can be reshaped, if confidence can be engineered, then who carries the risk when something goes wrong? And how much is too much to pay for a version of yourself that may never have been real to begin with?